So, most people know me as the Zelda speedrun guy, but recently I've been getting back into Elden Ring. A lot of people from the Zelda community, me included, have expressed their frustrations and burnout with the recent Tears of the Kingdom, and I think it's easy to jump over to Elden Ring from there, as a lot of the core aspects like environmental world building and exploring a vast open space are also found here. But make no mistake, for me this is not some flavor of the month thing, or just because the DLC was recently announced. I used to speedrun Elden Ring already when the game came out and helped with early routes. I'm even included in some of the game's speedrun documentaries. However, I am kinda washed up these days, so I wanted to figure out a way to get good at speedrunning Elden Ring again. So I did what I do best. Come up with a meme speedrun category. And this idea is DLC%. A speedrun that fulfills all the requirements needed to enter the freshly announced DLC Shadow of the Erdtree from starting a new character as fast as possible. We have recently learned from interviews with director Miyazaki what those requirements are. I need to kill Star Scourge Radahn, Mohg, Lord of Blood, and then touch the cocoon of the Empyrean. Now, I hopped on my stream, and me and my chat came up with the route for this run. And while doing it, I quickly realized to what absurd levels you can actually take this run. I settled on a route that is a tiny bit more beginner-friendly, and you guys watching could definitely be able to do this yourself to reach the DLC very fast. I'm about to present you this run with all the information you need to be able to do this yourself, and additionally add potential improvements that some who really wanted to take this run to the next level could do. So you can enter Shadow of the Erdtree really quick. We start the run with the Bandit class and the Lands Between rune, first of all. I will explain later why. And also quick explanation, this is the run, welcome to the run. I will be cutting out load times here and stuff like that, so the viewing experience is a little bit more smooth, and also I will speed up certain sections that are essentially just running. To get things started, normally in speedruns, you don't actually count load screens, so only the in-game time is going to be considered, which is why at certain sections of this run you'll actually see me quit out of the game when I, for example, open a door. The first door there was the first example. The second door coming up, the Stranded Graveyard here, will be the next. So I'm basically opening up the door, quitting out of the game because the timer stops doing loads, and once again I removed loads from the actual video here just for viewing pleasure. Now here in the elevator I do a little bit of setupping. I just move my mana flask into the pouch and remove the golden rune, the Lands Between rune that I started with from the hotbar. That will be important later. And here we have Varré. And Varré is obviously, not necessarily obviously, but maybe you could have guessed, he will be one of the most important NPCs for the speedrun. The entire quest line that Varré presents us is what we are going to be using in this run to essentially travel to the Mohg Dynasty as efficiently as possible. So that's kind of the main idea of the route. We're going to use the Varré questline to travel there, and we will be killing Radahn. So we also need some sort of weapon or some sort of way to essentially kill Radahn, because that's also needed for the DLC entrance. Now, I'm basically running straight to the Grace right here, where we get Torrent to meet Melina. Obviously, in every speedrun you want to do that as quickly as possible, because Torrent is much faster than running would be. And then I immediately equip the Spectral Steed Whistle to the pouch as well, and then start riding downwards. Now, why am I riding downwards? And this is also the reason that I started Bandit and the Lands Between, which is basically the entire reason, is because the weapon of my choosing here to kill Radahn efficiently is gonna be Reduvia. Now, Reduvia is pretty strong because it applies lots of blood loss, and the Bandit can wield it right from the get-go. But I will talk later during some of the other riding sections which other weapons potentially could be good, or other strategies to kill Radahn. But first we have to get Reduvia. This is a pretty infamous fight here against Nerijus, I think is his name, this NPC. And this killed many of my attempts to actually get a decent run. Now, for example, starting Samurai makes this fight quite a bit easier. Here with the Bandit, I'm basically constantly using R1s, trying to catch him out of rolls or potentially get a backstep in, like I ended up doing here. But again, Samurai made this fight actually much easier, but then I would have needed more runes to be able to actually wield the Reduvia weapon. Also, the dagger obviously does apply some blood loss. Unfortunately, Nerijus was able to use his flask here. I play this fight very safe because if you get hit by one singular of his Reduvia blood slashes, you die. So actually wait for Yura here. You can get much faster fights if you just constantly basically get backstab fishes or more aggressive roll catches, but it can be super dangerous. So I value consistency here. Obviously the biggest time loss would be to die to him and go all the way back to where you got Torrent. Eventually we kill him, and he will drop the Reduvia dagger. This is going to be, like I said, the weapon of choice for me for this run. Once again, I ended up not starting Samurai because it actually lost me more time to get the extra levels in Arcane compared to a clean fight with the Bandit. So Bandit is basically the starting class for me. Now, that being said, as I'm riding down here to the Bridge of Sacrifice for reasons that will be apparent later, I do think the fastest possible strat for this run would be to start Samurai and actually use the +0 Uchigatana to kill Radahn. I will explain how later, but this is a more beginner-friendly route, like I said, that doesn't lose much time. Now I ride to the Bridge of Sacrifice, dodge the shotty and pick up a Stone Sword key. This will be important for later, and grab Disgrace, which will also be important for later as it's pretty close to Irina. I don't know how many of you have actually done the Varré questline, but maybe it'll make sense later. Then from here, I warp back up to the Agil Lake South Grace, the one that I just picked up on my way, and now make my way to Fort Hyde. This is another interesting decision. I will be picking up both medallions for the Dectus lift to reach Altus Plateau. And this is because in order to finish Varré's questline, later on there's going to be a section where we're going to have to do invasions. And there's two ways to do these invasions. You can either just use the fingers and do the online invasions. You have to do 3 online invasions. Doesn't matter if you win or lose. That can be fast, but I tried it out a little bit. In reality, you end up wasting so much time looking for an invasion that the offline method is not only more consistent, but also faster in most cases. The God run would just do online invasions and get 3 invasions right away, but that was basically going to be impossible to grind. But maybe one person in the future will do it. So I get the Dectus medallion because in patch 106 a new method was introduced to this questline where you can invade an NPC called Magnus the Beastclaw in Altus Plateau. So I want access to that invasion to be able to progress the questline this way. Now, after the first medallion half, I go back to the first step and use the classic Caelid teleporter chest here in the Dragonburned Ruins to warp to the Celia Crystal Tunnel, where I then have to escape. I do get hit by the pests, unfortunately, but thankfully they didn't one-shot me. This is something that actually can, with very bad luck, happen. I leave the tunnel and make it to Celia skip. Now I made a little bit of a cut here because I lost some time. The skip can be difficult, and if you want to redo this run yourself, you don't have to go for this skip, but essentially you kind of like jump against the wall, then jump back onto the branch, do another double jump, and then ride up the branch to skip the gate here in Celia. Now what you could do, you could just light the torch to dispel this barrier, which ideally probably loses like 30 seconds to a minute, but it doesn't really matter. Like, if you don't want to go super fast, like perfect run, you don't have to learn the skip. I definitely lost many runs to it, and sometimes I didn't even save time with it because it can be difficult, but it's something that, for example, the any % speedrun would use. Now we go up to the Church of the Plague, and this grace is going to be super important. This is how we will reach Star Scourge Radahn later. And then from here I make it up to the second medallion, the second half of the medallion for the lift to reach Altus Plateau. This is a classic at this point, like everyone knows this route and knows how powerful especially this fort is because of the dragon that you can kill. We won't be killing the dragon even though we could. It is way too slow and we don't need that many runes, but we do need some runes because I will be upgrading the Reduvia as well to get a really fast and efficient Radahn fight. I'm not really talking about the Mohg fight yet, and you will see why later when we actually get there. But for now, we'll have to focus on Radahn. This will be our first step. Now we get the second half of the medallion, and we will be jumping down into the fort and pick up a golden rune 12. This is a 7,500 runes, so actually quite nice to have. And then rest on the grace. Since we've now left the opening area, Melina will show up again and will take us to the Round Table Hold. And I will literally just travel there for a little bit. Basically just say hi, Round Table Hold, and then leave immediately. I just want the teleport point. Because later on we will be traveling back there for 2 reasons. But now the longest riding section in the game starts, so I sped up the footage quite a bit here. We will be riding all the way to Liurnia at first. Pick up another stone sword key on the way here at the Stormhill Shack. This is important. We need specifically 2 stone sword keys. You can technically start with 2 stone sword keys, but I do need runes even more, and these stone sword keys are essentially just on the way. Now, the footage here is just me riding, so there's not too much important stuff happening other than this next little jump that you can do. I wanted to highlight that. Once you reach these wolves here, you can actually jump off the right side, land on a little bit of geometry sticking out of the wall, and then slowly go down here to not unintentionally land poorly and have Torrent die. That would obviously be a tremendous time loss. And then from here we just ride straight to the Purified Ruins. The Purified Ruins have a teleporter that sends you straight to the Academy, which we don't really need to do much at the Academy, but it's just a faster and more efficient way of traveling through Liurnia. But there is also, the Academy is a great hub point here. So these are the Purified Ruins. I jump off Torrent, use the teleporter, get to the Academy, and then from there we can reach not only a graveyard to get the rest of the runes that we'll need on the way, but also a grace on some fallen Farum Azula ruins. I only recently learned that these ruins that are randomly scattered across sometimes, these blocks are actually from Farum Azula, which actually makes so much sense if you really think about it. I kind of just assumed they were there, but the lore is definitely backing that up. Now here are the golden runes that I'm going to be picking up. They will be needed to upgrade our weapon and get some upgrade materials. And then from here I ride straight south to the Fallen Ruins, where there's a convenient grace. Now this grace is really close to the Rose Church, where Varré will move later on, so we can do his quest line. So this will basically just act as a setup teleport point. Now from here there's a ton of riding. I go back to the Academy, ride straight to this teleporter that takes you up to EG. EG is infamous at this point. He allows you to get super quick upgrade materials. I basically just get the grace right next to him because I don't have all of the upgrade materials and money I want yet. And then I do this very long ride over this stone bridge here, through this church, the Bellum Church, and then straight to the Dectus lift. I obviously have already collected the medallion harp, so I'm going to be able to get up to Altus Plateau, where I will later be doing the invasion for the Varré quest line. Now there's another reason I come up here. On the way to these ruins, there's actually a tunnel. It's the old Altus tunnel, and recently watching some other streamers and YouTubers prepare for their bingo, we all kind of realized how powerful this old Altus tunnel is for multiple reasons. I quit out here to drop aggro, use my stone sword keys to dispel the fog gate. This is the reason I basically picked them up along the way, and then take the elevator down into the tunnel. Now the old Altus tunnel actually has 3 somber stones essentially right next to each other. Somber 4, 5, and 6. I also pick up the grace because conveniently this tunnel is kind of close to the ruins I have to do the invasion in later. So once again it acts as another like hub point and setup space. So this is actually really, really nice. So first I jump down here and make it behind this hut. This is where you'll find Somber Smithing Stone 6. I immediately turn around trying to not aggro the knight on the left there and pick up Somber Smithing Stone 4. The knight does eventually aggro, but I am actually able to avoid his attack. And then just behind this hut in this cave is Somber Smithing Stone 5. So now we have 4, 5, and 6, so I saved a lot of money. I know EG sells 4. I used the Memory of Grace here, try to, and die, which is not a big deal. Using the Memory of Grace would have lost me my runes anyway. Dying is what you end up doing most of the time here, just to travel back to the Grace. But yeah, once again, I need that Grace in the tunnel here later. But for now, in order to teleport, I need to send the lift up, and I intentionally wait for the button to come back up to send the lift back down, because this is how we will do the invasion later during the quest line. But for now, I'm going to be teleporting back to the Round Table Hold. This is the reason I got the teleport waypoint for it, because I'm just going to be selling all my golden runes. The one I started with, the one I picked up in Caelid, the one I picked up on the graveyard. It's just faster to sell them all in one quick go. Unfortunately, you cannot sell to EG, so I sell everything to Yuki and then do port to EG though, because I do need to buy Somber Smithing Stone 1, 2, and 3. And then I have a relatively quick +6 Reduvia Blood Blade. There's better upgrade materials in this game, like in Volcano Manor, so I could technically get a +9, but it's just not worth it. Like I said, ideally I think you wouldn't even upgrade your weapon at all to skip the extra runes and skip doing things like EG and then do a really, really hard Radahn fight at +0, which would lose time over my Radahn fight. But yeah, this is a very consistent one, you'll see. So I jump down here, this is a pretty old trick at this point, this is a stake skip. I make sure that I don't land on this pillar and actually die in the desert. To be able to essentially skip to the Radahn like fight. You don't even need to activate the festival for this. And this is actually a second try Radahn. I died in this run once time because it's still difficult. I'm like literally on baseline vigor and I'm kind of just getting back into speedrunning, so I'm not gonna bother you with that first attempt. It was very close. And I'll show you the second attempt where it actually ended up working and explain how I ended up fighting him with the Reduvia here at +6. So first up, I ride to the back. This is also kind of a known strat. This unloads Radahn. When you then return to him, he kind of fires his arrows into the distance. And I actually have this rare scenario happen here where he still fires at me. I use my torrent iframes to get rid of these arrows, or like not to get rid of them, but to not get hit by them, and now do another attempt at it. Now you can see he will fire them into the distance. And I'm gonna be waiting for a very specific attack for him to do here, where he kind of crosses his swords. This is where he dismounts Leonard, his horse. This right there, I run in and I do 3 Reduvia blood blades, which proc bleed. I then try to get behind him to not get hit by this attack. He's now gonna go into the phase where he kind of like does the crack blade Ash of War, imbues his swords. I use that window to keep spamming blood blade, but not too much, because that will cause him to slam down his weapons after this gravity pull, so I have even more time to damage him, and you can see how much damage I'm getting in here. And it's also very important at the end there to do some R1s. At least if you want to get the fastest kill. Like at the end of the day, you could just play it safe, right? And just fight him with Reduvia. But those extra R1s will be crucial to build up some extra bleed damage. When he crashes down, I continue with those R1s, stack more bleed, and then position behind him during the slam, getting even more blood loss in with the Reduvia Bloodblade slashes. And now I want him to do the gravity pull into the slam. That would be the best RNG, and he does it. This allows me to position behind him and just finish him off with even more slashes. This Ash of War is crazy. It's pretty FP efficient. And you can basically get some sort of like double hit going if you hit him with the blade of the Reduvia and the projectile part. So pretty clean kill here. I was a bit upset at the time because I didn't get it first try, and he gave me the weird RNG where he kind of fired at me even though I unloaded him. But at this point, I already knew there would be better strats for this run, and I just wanted to get a clean run to showcase that some people at home could do themselves if they wanted to speedrun to the DLC as quickly as possible, which I might actually do when I play the DLC myself. I will kind of mention this later. This is actually quite nice. I get 36 vigor here, and you also do end up killing Mohg, so you can kind of level up whatever you want. Now, this is really nice as well. I go to the Roundtable Hold. The thing that actually moves Varré's quest line to the church, the Rose Church, is to get a audience of the two fingers here. So you need to kill a demigod anyway, and you also need to kill a demigod, specifically Radahn, to enter the DLC. So this actually works out perfectly for the run. We kill Radahn and we progress the quest line at the same time. So now all that's left to do is kill Mohg and touch the Egg of the Empyrean. So I got this grace early on. This was the one on the ruins in Liurnia. And this is, like I said, very close to the Rose Church, where Varré will now be moved to. You will see him in front of the church, and he's gonna give us the invasion fingers after we tell him that we are not really fond of the two fingers. We didn't like them, so please hand over the invasion fingers, and then we will teleport back up to Altus Plateau, the old Altus tunnel specifically, which is where I previously got the upgrade materials. And this is also why I sent down the elevator, because now we can take the elevator back up once again to reach those ruins to do the invasion with Magnus Beastclaw. Now, this NPC is kind of annoying. I've seen top level speedrunners get destroyed by this guy. Like, he can be bad. The good thing for you is, and also for me, you don't have to win this invasion technically. The fastest possible way here is to kill this NPC first try. because that will progress the questline. But if you lose to him 3 times, this will also progress the questline, because then you have used 3 of the bloody fingers. Once again, it would be fastest to kill him first try. I actually got him second try here because he has this Lion's Claw move that comes out really quick with hyper armor, and he basically just one-shot me, even with 36 vigor. This is the reason I get vigor, by the way, in the first place, just because ideally I want to kill this guy first try. I killed him second try in this run. Once again, I cut out the first attempt here, and I'll show you when I got him. But yeah, 2 NPC fights is not the most pleasant experience. Elden Ring NPCs, they all have like infinite stamina. They get to fast roll no matter what. You'll see in this attempt how ridiculous these NPC fights are sometimes. One good thing is the dagger is actually quite good against them because it staggers them. Here he just spam rolls. Every time I press L2, I basically make him roll. I just want to build up some bleed. This is what I mean. He does this Beast Claw attack that you can actually interrupt either with an R1 or with the Blood Blade. There's the Lion's Claw, but I actually dodged it here, which I was pretty proud of. And then I catch his roll with the R1, keep up the pressure basically until he eventually dies, and get it second try here. I don't know why I healed. Probably some habit from playing randomizer. Doesn't really matter, because from here we just have to warp back to the Rose Church because we have done the questline successfully. Now he actually drops a Somber Smithing Stone 6, but at this point it's too late. We already are done with upgrading. We need to progress the questline further now to get the Pure Blood Medal from Varré, the item that allows us to teleport to Mohg Dynasty. Once again, for glitches in general, by the way, I basically used the main speedrunning idea here, where you are not allowed to do the zip glitch and the force quit glitch. Wrong warp glitch, where you can like force quit and wrong warp to specific positions. I don't know if you've heard about it. This does allow the use of glitches this run here, in order to go fast, but none of the really broken stuff. I teleport back to the Weeping Peninsula. This is the grace I got earlier, next to Irina, and kill her, because the next questline of Varré is, the next part of it is basically he wants you to get maiden blood and use this cloth that he just gave you to like dip it in it. He is a very strange guy. We'll have to do it though in order to go fast, so Irina must die. She was gonna die anyway, okay, before anyone says anything. She was destined to die. We couldn't have saved her, so might as well do it ourselves. Okay, that sounds really strange. Ignore that part. Let's move on. We go to Varré with the Lord of Blood's favor, and he should now basically welcome us to the dynasty and give us the Pure Blood Medal to get an audience with Mohg, which once again is going to be super nice for us. One of the fastest ways to travel to Mohg in order to enter the DLC much faster than going over the consecrated snowfield and like killing bosses to go through Lane-Dell. Obviously, this is the faster method. And once again, I do believe that in the perfect world, like perfect RNG, if you did 3 online invasions, then maybe you could do the online way, but the offline way is more consistent and faster right now, especially because the game isn't as active. Maybe when the DLC is out, I don't know. I get the Pure Blood Knight medal here in order to go to Mohg, even though Varré told us to not use it right away. And I'm going to be speeding up here a little bit again, because we just run through all the way up to the Mohg fight. Now, I already said this the entire time. It's probably weird to you that I haven't really talked about our strategies for fighting Mohg. I still have a +6 Reduvia, which would potentially do okay against him, but it would just take a long time with him flying around after Nihil. So we are going to be using a little bit of a cheese to kill him. One of those good old deload kills, which might be nice for you too, if you're starting a new character and you just want to get rid of Mohg to enter the DLC in the future. Now, this works right now. Right now, this is possible. I did this on the most recent patch. We don't know if this is going to be patched when the DLC comes out. Maybe this video, and I'm sorry if this is the case, will be the reason this gets patched out. But I guess you could do this run right now and then prepare your DLC file without having done anything in the game other than this, which is kind of what I like about this route. It allows you to save all of the bosses for later once you've been in the DLC, and maybe to try out some weapons against them. So I run up here, I enter the Mohg fight, and I quit out. This loads Mohg in. Then I go onto the elevator here to send it back down, because later on we do still have to touch the Cocoon of the Empyrean. This will be the now confirmed DLC entrance. And I jump from the elevator back to the ground. This is just to save some time instead of waiting on the elevator. Now, this is where the deload kill comes into play. If you've never seen a deload kill, I will explain it briefly once we are there. But first, we are dropping down onto this ledge right here, and then jumping around the wall onto this ledge right here, run down the slope, jump from the slope over to this platform. Then behind this rock, I turn around onto this stone platform, and I keep basically running over these hills. Now, there's a little bit of blood on the ground. Once jumped over it, you can use Torrent, which I'm going to use to jump and double jump over to this part of the canyon. And it's going to be weird here. The ground unloads briefly, but this is fine. You just kind of have to make it up that cliffside. And once you do, even though you can't really see, you can use Torrent again. And ride northeast. There's going to be a hole in the ground, and I'm going to be positioning myself on a ledge. Like, I keep dropping down here until the very edge. There's an out-of-bounds ledge, and then I jump, and very importantly, double jump. Because otherwise you can't attack. And you need to attack here, because after 12 seconds of falling, everything in Elden Ring dies. And by constantly falling, we are essentially deloading the level, even though Mohg is still loaded. He will start falling, and since Mohg is not attacking every 12 seconds, he will die. And I sped up the footage here again, but after around like a minute or so, you see enemies are dying, and then Mohg is dying. And after Mohg is dead, we can teleport back to the grace we picked up here and run to the elevator that I've previously sent down, and then touch the Egg of the Empyrean. We've only killed Radahn and Mohg. We have like 500,000 runes at this point, so we can basically level whatever we want entering the DLC. Probably Vigor, that's always helpful. And this would be a cool and really, really fast way for you to start your DLC journey. I'm assuming you would probably want to pick up some talismans and armor and stuff, but I might actually do this when the DLC comes out, because this allows me to immediately use DLC weapons and DLC armor, and then take that armor into the base game to try out the other bosses with the new stuff. But this is it. I finished it here in around 40 minutes. I'm pretty sure if you get a really good strat for killing Radahn with a +0 Uchigatana, you lose some time there, and maybe online invasions with perfect RNG, you could actually push this run fairly close to 30 minutes. Maybe this will become a trend in the future, and some of the best speedrunners will compete for like a top time in it. But I wanted to show this off. I had a lot of fun with this DLC run. Let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next one.